there. My name is Deanna at Deanna Style on all social media platforms. Formerly Magical Dun Mama. I changed my tag a while back now. Thank you so much for being here with me today. You have no idea how much this means. Gosh, I just love you all so much. But today we are switching gears. Normally I'm talking about Disney parks. Today we're going to be talking about Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure here in Orlando, Florida. But we're specifically going to be talking about things to do for kids in these parks. So we visit Universal weekly and I get questions a lot about, should I bring my toddler there? Should I bring my child there that's younger? What is there to do for the kids at Universal Studios? And the answer is that there's so much for the kids to do. And I've spoken with a lot of other annual pass holders, and there are a lot of things that I'm about to mention that they had no clue were even in these parks. And there's actually a lot for them to do. When you think of Universal Studios, you think of like major thrill rides, and they do have that and they are amazing. But they have thought of the kids as well, which is extra important in Orlando when families come here as a family, you know, like an actual family destination. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about some of the things for the kids to do, and then after I'm done talking, you'll see a bunch of video footage of the actual places that I'm talking about. So first of all, let's start with the Universal Studios side of the Universal Orlando Resort. And if you're not familiar with Universal Studios, there are two parks that are connected by city walks. City Walk is like a shopping and dining hub. It has a movie theater, Voodoo Donuts, like there's a whole bunch of places to eat and shop there. Hard Rock Cafe, Toothsome Emporium. So there's so much there, but the parks are separated. They're very close to one another. You could walk, just takes a couple minutes to walk from one to the other, or you could take the Hogwarts train. But there's two parks, Islands of Adventure and then the Universal Studios side. Islands of Adventure is the newer park. It's been there for many years now, but Studios is the OG of the parks. So let's start over there. When you walk into the park, immediately you will see Despicable Me Minion Mayhem right in front of you. This ride does have a height requirement, not a very tall height requirement, but my daughter is 3 and she's not tall enough to ride yet. But I'm mentioning this for smaller kids because they do have a fun little feature on this ride for children who aren't tall enough. When you meet the team member at the front of the ride, you can measure your child, and if they're not tall enough, they will offer you stationary seating, which normally doesn't have a wait because mostly everybody who is tall enough rides and just waits in the regular line. But if your child isn't tall enough, they will send you to the stationary seating line. You get to go through the entire experience inside. So there's a cast member right before you enter the actual Minion Mayhem building. You'll greet him outside and he will take you to the stationary seating line. It normally filters in right to the first pre-show there, and then you go into the second pre-show, and then you go onto the ride. But you're not actually going to experience the moving vehicle. What they have in the front of it is a really nice bench that does not move. It's stationary for you and your children to sit on, and it's not a 3D experience, so you could just watch the screen. And what I had my daughter do is like we sort of were moving as the cars were behind us, but it is really nice for your child to be able to do this. Even if they aren't tall enough, they still are part of the experience and they get to see the pre-shows as well. So they do have a height requirement, like I said, but this is a nice little feature on this ride for kids that aren't tall enough to enjoy. If you break off to the right, you're gonna walk a little ways and you're gonna enter into the kids zone area. It's right behind where the ET ride is, and there's so much for the kids to do here. You're gonna see a lot of that footage after I'm done talking. The first thing that you'll get to is the ET ride. There is a little bit of a height requirement for this one as well, but not very tall at all because you're sitting on a stationary bike. So that is a ride that most children can do. My daughter rode this ride and she's not even 42 inches, 40 inches yet. So she was able to like it. It was a little scary for her, even though it's not a scary ride. I went on it when I was a child, but it's just not something she liked yet. So she didn't go on that, but ET is there for you to enjoy. There is also a SpongeBob store right there where you can meet and greet with Squidward, SpongeBob, and Patrick Starfish. And then there's an animal actor show right there which goes multiple times a day, and it is just basically all animals doing fun tricks and stuff. Right after the ET ride, you're gonna head right into the Fievel area, which has my heart forever. The Fievel area has been there since I think the beginning, to be honest with you. It is sort of weird to see my children enjoying it now because I have photos of me, my daughter's age 3, running through that area. I will be heartbroken if they ever get rid of that area. They recently did a refurb on the area. Most kids don't even know what Fievel is. Fievel Goes West, but it's a show from when I was a child. I was born in '88, and there's a whole themed area for it. It has water features where the kids can splash around and play. It has slides. It has run-through experience. It has a lot of nooks and crannies for the kids to go through. You can spend hours in there, and then most people don't know that there's an actual tube water slide in there. There you could fit 2 people in the tube sitting behind each other, and my daughter loves this experience. You don't get soaked. I went on it in just normal clothes and just my bottom got wet, so and she wanted to go on it over and over and over again, and because not many people know it's there, the line has been very minimal each time we've gone. Then right behind that is Woody Woodpecker's Nut House coaster. This ride, even my daughter, who is 3 years old, was able to go on. I wouldn't recommend waiting if there's a super long line for this because the roller coaster is very short, maybe like 30 seconds long. The ride is very short, but for kids, it's a lot of fun. And I think that the children should enjoy it. It's an amazing little roller coaster, and it's nice to have that there for the kids. And then behind the Nut House coaster, you're gonna enter the Curious George Goes to Town area, and the kids do go to town on this, trust me. So it's a very big area, and it has a dry play area where it's like a dry playground, so slides and all different little things that they can play through, but it's not a wet experience. So if you don't want your kids to get wet, they can stay over there and enjoy themselves. But the Curious George area is mostly a giant water pad with all different features. You're gonna see it in some of my footage. There is like a little baby splash pad for the kids to run around, but once you get behind the dry and the little wet splash pad area, it opens up to look like an entire town, all different buildings, literally looks like an entire town, but all behind the buildings, the kids can go up the stairs, down the stairs. There's all kinds of stuff for them to play with. It's hard to describe it. It's literally like a kid's water park, essentially. I highly recommend bringing a change of clothes for your kids and a towel if they're gonna enjoy this, because they will get soaked, and it's nice to have something to dry them with. They do sell towels in the park and in that area, but if you wanna bring one with you, I recommend that, and some dry clothes for later on. It does close down for weather if there's lightning in the area, but normally once the lightning's 5 miles out, they go ahead and let you back in. My son's favorite part of the Curious George Goes to Town area is in the back. You don't have to walk through the actual water park area to get to where I'm talking about. You can go actually around the back and miss all of the water features, because there's kids with guns, water shooters and stuff like that that try and get you wet. I went through once and I got soaked. So if you don't want to get wet, you'll want to go around the back. And there are signs letting you know how to get to the ball pit or the ball factory. The ball factory is right in the middle of the back, and gosh, it is literally just a giant room that has foam balls in it, and they have like vacuums and shooting guns for them. And every once in a while, because they're feeding the balls into this one main thing, and every once in a while when it fills up, all the balls like explode everywhere in the room. There are slides in there as well. This is a dry experience. My son spends hours in there and it's his favorite. So definitely don't miss this area. It's all the way tucked in the back. So if you're not looking for this kid zone area, very easy to walk by it and go right into the Simpsons area. So if you made it to the Simpsons area, you walked too far, you'll want to go back to ET, and there's a whole area for them to explore. A lot of the time now, we don't even get to experience the rest of the park because my kids want to stay in these areas the entire day. The last thing in the area is the Dreamworks destination. It is a non-stop character experience, is air conditioned. Inside there are all different Dreamworks characters putting on a show, dancing. When each character comes out, they'll do a little dance with also dance performers, and then they'll stop the dance and they'll do meet and greet so your kids can take photos with the characters. And then every 20 minutes they rotate characters inside the Dreamworks destination. They have characters from Trolls, they have Poppy, they have Kung Fu Panda characters, they have Puss in Boots, there's Shrek characters in there. So and also How to Train Your Dragon. So every 20 minutes the characters rotate, and when they do rotate, when the new characters come out, they put on a show, they dance, and then once their little dance portion is done, they go ahead and they do some photos with all of the kids. But it is indoors the entire time. It is absolutely amazing and it's a lot of fun. I believe that they stop at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, so you won't be able to go and experience the Dreamworks destination later in the afternoon. So definitely take your kids there during earlier in the day. They're gonna love it, and it's a nice refreshing break from the Florida heat because it is air conditioned. Actually, that entire kids zone area with the Fievel area and the water slide and the Curious George area, it is a really nice break from the rest of the park. Very refreshing. It cools your kids down, and it's a great way for them to burn off some steam because there's just so much for them to do in there. There are other things outside of the kids zone for the kids to do in Universal Studios. Near the Simpsons area, there is a Twirl and Hurl ride. It is a flying saucer ride that goes in circles in the air, similar to Dumbo, but it's flying saucers and the Simpsons themed. So they really enjoy that one as well. That one's really cool at night when everything's lit up. And then they have the Men in Black, which is sort of like the Buzz Lightyear shooting game at Disney World, except it's Men in Black theme and you shoot at the aliens. Not much of a height requirement for that one as well. They can experience Ollivanders in Diagon Alley if they are familiar with Harry Potter. They choose someone from the audience and they get to pick out a wand, and if they're a Harry Potter fan, they'll love this. If not, you could probably skip it because they probably won't know what's going on too much. Then outside of Diagon Alley, you can then board the Hogwarts Express and head over to Islands of Adventure if you want. There's no height requirement for this. You could carry babies on it. You could bring your stroller on it, and it takes you to the other park without having to walk if you wanted to do that. And then I think that's everything in Universal Studios side that they can do. Let me think really fast. Yeah, I think that's just about everything. Now they are creating, they took out the Shrek 4D experience and the Monsters Cafe, and you see a lot of Minions stuff up there. And as you know, the Universal Studios in Hollywood has the whole like super silly Funland area. They have a Minions Cafe, so I'm hoping that they bring some of those experiences here, and there will be another additional thing for the kids to do. But let's head over to Islands of Adventure now and talk about some of the stuff that they have there to offer for the kids. My son is huge into dinosaurs, and they have the Jurassic Park area over there. There is a whole Jurassic camp for the kids to play with. It is essentially like a boneyard playground. It's all dinosaur fossils. There is slides for them to go through. They can run through caves. There's a lot of stuff for them to do in the area, and there is a water feature as well. And then there is an attraction for the kids. It does have a height requirement, but not a big one. My daughter, I don't think was tall enough to go on it yet, but it's called the Pteranodon Flyers, and it's just a little flying experience. They look like pterodactyls or pteranodons, and they just sort of like fly through the air on it. It's not a very long ride, but my son did enjoy it. Again, he's a huge dinosaur fan. The river adventure does have a height requirement, the dinosaur river adventure, because it does have that big drop, but my son was able to ride that, and he's a little bit above 42 inches. I want to say maybe it's 44 inches, but don't quote me on that. I'm not exactly sure. So there's a lot for them to enjoy in the Jurassic Park area. If you're an adult, I highly recommend the Velocicoaster, one of the best rides I've ever been on in my life. And then moving through that park, they have the Suess Land, and it has the Cat in the Hat ride. There is another sort of Dumbo type ride, but it's one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish, and you can get wet on that ride if you listen to the directions that the audio tells you. It'll tell you when to go up and when to go down if you want to get splashed by the water, and you can also avoid it if you want to. Then there is the High in the Sky Suess Trolley ride. It is, in my opinion, worth the wait. It is over a 3-minute ride, and it's above the entire park. You can see all the roller coasters in the distance. You can see all of Suess Land. It is a nice little train ride that's going to some Dr. Seuss books that they're reading, and it's a whole story. You go inside of some of the buildings, sort of the people mover of Suess Land or Universal Studios. My kids really, really enjoy that. In the Marvel Superhero Island area, there is sort of, I don't know what you would call it, but I don't know the word that I'm thinking for this ride, but it's not like a Dumbo ride. It's more, okay, it's more like the Teacups, but it's superhero themed, tucked in the back there behind the Hulk. And then like actual little kids experiences in Islands of Adventure, mostly just the camp, the Jurassic Camp area and Suess Land. I'm walking myself through the park. They can go on Poseidon's Fury because it is a walkthrough experience. It might be a little bit scary for the kids. You can meet the characters from Madagascar over near Mythos sometimes, right outside of Hogsmeade. Most of the Harry Potter rides are a bit dark, and my son wouldn't even go on them yet, so they don't have very tall height requirements, but for toddlers, they're definitely not tall enough to ride those attractions. And then there is the entire comic book area, and that area has the Dudley Do-Right waterlog flume. It has Popeye's water rafting ride. It has multiple splash features for the kids to walk in and out of. Definitely, again, if your kids are going to enjoy this area, by the way, the rides in this area are great for adults too. They're not like kiddie water rides. You will get soaked, you will need an extra pair of clothes, and you're definitely going to want a towel. These are not like little baby water rides where you barely get wet like the one in the Fievel area. You will get soaked on these water rides, but they are great for children. Another great way to cool down in Islands of Adventure. So as you can see, there is so much to do for the kids in both parks. Just the Dr. Seuss area, one day we did all the rides. It took us like 3-4 hours. My son will run around the Jurassic Camp area for a long time. And I highly recommend also buying one of their refillable mugs, especially if you're a pass holder. You can buy one of the Universal refillable mugs, and then each time you come back, you can add a day to it because they have the Coke Freestyle machines. And then every 8-9 minutes, you can refill your cup up with another beverage from the Freestyle machine. So it's a great way for your entire families to stay hydrated throughout the day because it is so hot. There's so many different options in the Coke Freestyle machines. They have pretty much sugar-free options in every soda, every juice, every tea, and the cup is the best thing that we ever got. And if you're there with a group, the more cups that you buy, the cheaper the cups get. You do get your annual pass discount when you reload another day onto it. And my favorite part is that you can also get the ices, the slushes, as refills, so they're free all day long as long as you got your cup has another day on it. So I love that refillable cup. It is worth it 100 times over. It's about $10.62 or something like that to add another day onto it with your pass, but you would spend well more than that buying drinks and waters throughout the day. If you don't want to buy the cup, you can bring your own water cup, water bottle, tumbler, whatever would have you, and you can get water and ice in the cup all day long without a charge out of the Freestyle machines. But yeah, that's just a very condensed version of what is available for the kids to do and see in Islands and Universal. I'm gonna go ahead and end it here, and I hope you enjoy the little footage that I put together of the splash pad area and all the things that I just talked about, so you can get a better idea of what they are and how they work. But thank you so much for being here with me. I hope you enjoy this next little part. Please subscribe, and follow me on all social media channels. I'm on TikTok and Instagram, Pinterest. I do it all. My tag is @DeannaStyle on all of them. Facebook too. And yeah, let me know what other type of Universal videos you want to see. Love you guys. Love you, love you.
Congratulations! Today is your day. You're off to great places. You're off and away. Oh, the places you'll go. There is fun to be done.
The Circus McGurkus, the world's greatest show. On the face of the earth or wherever you go. Here in Ring 1, from the Ocean of Off, is a sight most amazing, a walrus named Rolf, who can stand on one whisker in this wonderful role. On top of 5 balls, 2 tennis, 3 golf. It's a marvelous trick if I say so myself. And while this wild ruckusing goes on below, at the top of the tent, look, the star of the show. Great Daredevil Sneelock, the world's bravest type. Great Sneelock soars up to a terrible height.
My name is Sylvester McMilky McDoom. Now if you've got troubles living in an outer body jet, I'm your fictional expert. If you know stars like a star and sleep.
Wow!
Just remember, and I'll you like green eggs and ham?
I do. I like them, Sam. I like these green eggs and ham. Now the star-bellied sneetches had bellies with stars. The plain-bellied sneetches had none upon bars. Those stars were so big, they were really quite small. You would think such a thing wouldn't matter at all. But because they had stars, the star-bellied sneetches would brag.
We're the best kind of sneetch on the beaches.
All the rest of the day on those wild gleaming beaches, the fixin'-up chappie kept fixing up sneetches. Then when every last cent of their money was spent, the fixin'-up chappie packed up. And he went, and he laughed as he drove his car up the beach.
They'll never learn. No, you can't teach a sneetch.
But McBean was quite wrong. I'm happy to say that the sneetches got really quite smart on that day. The day they decided that sneetches are sneetches, and no kind of sneetch is the best on the beaches. That day all the sneetches forgot about stars, and whether they had one or not. Fun dog.
Finally reopened Fievel's Playground here at Universal Orlando. I have so many fond memories in this area. As a kid, it was my favorite thing to do. I met all the characters. I would go down all the water slides. It looks like they repainted everything, and I haven't walked through everything since I was younger, and my kids haven't either, so I'm going to take a walk through right now and show you what it looks like now.